Hey guys, what's happening? It's Matt Wenning at winningstrength.com, and today we're going to talk about principles of strength training. Now, there's a lot more than the ones we're going to go over, but these are the three main ones that I think most people are either missing or neglecting in their training. So let's get to it.
Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a f, that's what they don't understand. I'm back again like flu season, I broke records while loose leaf, and I'm coming down my roof leaving, don't give a f, I don't care. Did the by my lonesome, no wonder now I'm on one. No shortcuts on that long run, all I really want is my share.
There's so many different variables that we need in strength training, right? And that we oftentimes don't think about. In this particular video, we're going to go over three major topics that I think will at least get your wheels spinning and start getting you to read, research, possibly even hire and or consult with a coach. Whether that's Winning Strength or some other company, it doesn't matter. But the point is that I want you guys to start really having more of a cognitive approach to your training. So the first thing that I think you need to have as a principle is you need to vary your training. Now, why is variability so important? I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why I think variability needs to be a factor in your training. Well, for one, psychological burnout is usually one of the main factors that gets somebody to quit training or back their training down severely or completely stop 100%.
You want my head to explode?
Why? Because the same exercises over and over for most people are very boring and tedious. I find that varying exercises allows you to not only increase psychological stimulation and training, but also one of the other big things that nobody's talking about, maybe only other than Winning Strength, is mileage. When you're varying and creating variety in your training, you're also changing pressure gradients. So the reason that we use bands, chains, cables, free weights, dumbbells and kettlebells is because it's still resistance training, but it's a different type of resistance training, just enough to be a little bit of a different mileage point on the joints, tendons, ligaments, etc. So what does this mean? This means that if you have a smart variety in your training, such as what we do at winningstrength.com, you're not only going to see progress, but you're also going to see a reduction in pain, injury, and boredom.
I suppose nothing hurts you.
Only pain.
So that's really why I think varying your training is insanely important, especially if you're in it for the long haul, i.e. 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years. The next thing that I think that we really have to hit on and make sure that you guys understand is that we need to observe individual differences. This means that some techniques, some training methodologies, and other factors need to be put into play when deciding what you're going to do for an individual. Why? Well, we could all take Usain Bolt's running program, and we can all take Michael Phelps or Lance Armstrong's swimming or cycling program, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be able to make the same progress with the exact same training protocol. Why? Well, there's a couple reasons. One, we don't have the same youth background, right? I am pretty sure that Michael Phelps and Lance Armstrong, etc., were doing some sort of semi-specific training for their sport before the ages of 5 to 6 years old. This means that taking what they're doing at 19 to 20 years old and copying it verbatim is not necessarily a great idea for 99.9% of the population. Why? You don't have a base built. This is what I think is the biggest problem with taking an elite training program and not understanding that it's not for you. It's not necessarily that a training program may not be suited for you, it's not suited for you at this particular time. This is one of the big issues we find with the manuals. We get guys downloading the hypertrophy manual and the power building manual, etc., without reading the first 5-10 pages that's telling you it's supposed to be used as an idea. It's supposed to open your mind to new training cycles and get you to understand what to do, not to copy it verbatim. And that's where the biggest problem lies, is that we don't have a base built. And this is also why most great professional sport athletes tend to have multiple sport backgrounds before they specialize. If we were to look at, say, your NFL players, an NFL football player, about 50 to 60% of them were a 3-sport athlete in high school, and then they slowly condensed their training down to just playing football. Whereas I believe only around 10% of the NFL started off just playing football as a kid. What does this mean? This means that an athletic base must be obtained before specialization can occur. This is also true with powerlifting. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is we need a step approach to loading. What does this mean? This means that we have to make our training and our intensity and our volume slightly increase over a gradual period of time. How fast? Well, that's the billion-dollar question. The reason that some people accelerate quickly and others don't is partially due to genetics.
All the purity and strength went into Julius. All the crap that was left over went into what you see in the mirror every morning.
Whoa, you telling me I'm the crap?
Now, the thing of it is that some people can adapt to a training cycle in 8-10 weeks and get better at it, mostly beginners and intermediate lifters. But advanced lifters that are already touching the ceiling limit of training are going to have a really tough time making more progress. What I find is that once you have hit 90 to 95% of your ceiling limit genetically, gaining an extra 1% is a mile. But when you're beginning, gaining an extra 10% is like a quarter of a mile. You know, as you're looking at it as far as how long it takes to get better. The weaker you are, the faster you'll get stronger. And this is where I find most people reach an intermediate level of training, and then they either quit or get burned out because they push too hard too fast and they don't have a long-term thought process. So again, step approach to loading just basically means have a gradual ideal in your head. Do not try to make progress too fast. Why is this important? Well, it's important because ligaments and tendons tend to adapt to training about twice as slow as muscle tissue. Muscle tissue has a lot of vessels and nutrient carrying capacity, whereas ligaments and tendons usually get fed through the lymphatic system, meaning that they don't adapt to training nearly as fast. So it's a great idea to not only have deloads built into your training to allow everything to readjust and recover, but it's not all about neurological and muscular recovery. It's also about ligament and tendon density and allowing it to catch up to your training methodologies. So I hope this helps you guys out a ton. Please go visit wenningstrength.com, take a look at our manuals, and if you're super serious about training, look into our online coaching and Train Heroic and Patreon, where we're showing you how to work out smarter and do it with a professional eye. Talk to you guys later.